actually educate, inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics and music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
Welcome to the National Safe Child Show, addressing the health, safety, and welfare of all children nationwide, because it shouldn't hurt to be a child. Here is your host, Tammy Stefano.
Hi folks, welcome. Friday evening, welcome to the National Safe Child Show. We have an awesome guest on this evening, and as usual, we have a wonderful show. Thank you, UBN Radio, Tony Sweet, who's always so sweet, and John, my absolute savior and favorite guy in the world, and I'll always say that. Welcome. So, there are a few issues today that I just wanted to touch on. I want to refer people to go to iPredator, www.ipredator.co. With Dr. Nuccitelli. National Safe has partnered with him and the guest that we have on the show this evening, and we have quite an evening. We're going to learn tonight about what's really going on in the deep, dark net, the internet, what parents can do to protect their children and help to keep their children protected when perpetrators are targeting them. And this is now the new, orange is the new black. Well, the internet is the new pedophile grooming device, and the perpetrators are rampant online. So we really need to be aware of that and monitor our children. There was an incident last week where a young lady out of Kansas City, Missouri, met some young man online. She was 14 years old, met him online, and they flirted back and forth with the usual teen talk. And finally, she told her girlfriend he wants to meet in person. Wonderful. He's a good-looking guy. She goes with the girlfriend to meet the guy, and the girlfriend feels an uneasy vibe, and when she gets this vibe, she tugs on the girlfriend's coattail and says, let's get out of here, this isn't cool. And she doesn't want to. She wants to have some fun, and she's excited, and she feels she's being given some attention. Folks, give your children attention. It's really important so they don't seek it elsewhere. And this young man was with a couple of other young men, and she finally gets into the car. The girlfriend did not go. Instead, she followed this car. And eventually, her following the car, she calls the girlfriend. She says, I'm losing you. Put your GPS on your phone, which is how they ultimately found her body and were able to recover her. It's just horrendous, folks. They had street cams that actually monitored her because her girlfriend said, put your GPS on. And at one point, they got out of the car, and this boy who she thought was so cute, took his hand and just hit her across the face with a pistol and knocked her down. He then unloaded his gun into her body for no reason at all, and then gave the gun with a new magazine clip or reloaded to his friend, who then unloaded his gun inside of her. And then the third guy she was filled with holes, folks, for nothing. There was no rhyme or reason to it. Teach your children. Yeah, there's cute guys online. I see them sometimes, and there's gorgeous women online, and you don't know who you're really talking to. You don't know these people. Don't just go trusting, okay? Anyway, okay, I want to introduce our guest now without further ado. I think he's on with us. We will call him Shadow, and he will tell you about himself. Hi, Shadow, are you with us? Hello,
Well,
hello.
hello, Tammy. It's really great to be here on your show tonight.
Thank you so much for being our
Yes, I
guest.
hear you.
Okay, we're so excited to have you on. And I'd like for you at least to start off by telling the audience what your background is and what you do.
Well, pretty much my background is computers, information security, programming, engineering. So I've been doing this for quite some time. So started out with just programming some computers and moving along during the internet age. I grew up with computers. We started out back in the late 80s. So along that time, I developed a plethora of fields when it comes to computers, internet security, and over time, in the past 15 years, that's what I've been doing. And we moved along to profiling and working with other internet users to try to get out some information on how to be safe online, how to protect your children, how to protect yourselves, how to protect your finances and whatnot. And we try to provide those tools and that training to people to allow them to think in a different way, so to speak, when you go online, because it's a whole new world there.
Right. And it's a scary world.
Well, it's a scary world when you see what's going on behind the scenes. And, unfortunately, I'm growing up with this and doing this for a living. I see what goes on behind the scenes. A lot of people who don't necessarily use the internet every day, but perhaps maybe do it just for communications are here. It's hard for them to kind of see what really goes on in the background, where this information goes. And we want to try to provide people the information and the tools to kind of give them an idea of what the do's and don'ts are, and how to protect your children and your family members and your identity and all this stuff, because it's pretty scary what people have the ability to do.
Right.
With just a bit of information.
That's right.
With the rampant, with social networks and what, it's very easy for somebody to go on and find out, pretty much almost everything there is to know, even with thought patterns, and even with how people think, where they go. You just have to be aware. Awareness is the thing we want to create for most of everything.
Right. And, even though people know that it's dangerous on the internet, they tell everybody everything about every moment. I burped 5 minutes ago. I'm going to get some water in another minute. I'm going shopping. My dog's staying home alone with my young child. I mean, why do people do that? And what precautions should they take? It's crazy when I look on the internet and I see on Facebook, I mean, they're divulging every moment of their lives.
Well, that's true, Tammy, and the reason for that is also, too, and I did want to mention, you mentioned Dr. Nucitelli and the iPredator construct and everything, and this is such a great thing to read, because as we are partners with him, and his construct is pretty much new age, and I agree with that completely. So once you read the iPredator construct and see how people behave, it becomes a concatenation with information technology and psychology and the criminal mind and things like that. So what happens when people go online is there's a couple things, and one is that really need to communicate with other people. That's just a human response, a psychological human response, and to want to connect with other people, and that is in concatenation with the false sense of security that a lot of things like Facebook and social networks provide. People read these things that, okay, well, we're going to maintain your security, we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. So it creates a veil and a false sense of security that people go on there, and they're in their homes, so they're feeling safe already. And they think, well, if I put something on this Facebook or I put something on the social network, I read the privacy policy, they're going to protect me. So it's a combination with feeling safe and believing that false veil of security that companies put out to people, trying to get them to understand or believe that their primary goal is to maintain their safety, and it's not. When you put stuff online, you set these privacy settings, you have to understand what you put online is going to be available to anyone at some point.
Right.
Okay. So they really believe that the companies are on their side. And what you have to understand is the companies are not on your side. Facebook is not on your side. Google Plus is not on your side. These companies and these things make millions and millions of dollars off of you as the product. And your personal information is a commodity these days. So they sell that stuff. So you have to understand, when you put where you go or what you do and you have your privacy settings set, don't think for 1 second that it's just that those people who you allow in your privacy settings to read that.
So everybody basically can read that. Is that right?
Pardon me?
I said everybody basically has access to that information.
Well, it comes down to a point of security, too, and this is pretty much what I do, information security. See, you put this stuff online, but you're under the assumption if you don't do computers for a living, or if you're not familiar with how computers are programmed, you really have no option but to take the company's word for it, that when you put what I'm doing or I'm sharing this with only my friends, that data is only going to go that far. You have to work under the assumption that it's not.
Right.
Because, like I said, in this information age, data and information is a commodity too. And when you come on and you use Google products and they're all free and this and that, people fail to realize that you are the product. You are the payment that you're using. Your information is basically the credit card number that you're going to pay to use the service for free. So you are the commodity.
And we don't even know that we're being sold.
Right. Most people, for the most part, most people don't understand or know that information that they put in, no matter what they do, it's always put into a large database to create a psychological profile of you in order for one thing only, and that's to sell you things, to target ads to you. So, when you look at it from a psychological standpoint, they can tailor things to you that will interest you on a level psychologically that you may not even be aware of. And people study this for a living.
Right.
Sales patterns and how to basically, it's called human hacking.
Right.
And that's the truth of the matter.
People
don't realize that everything nowadays is it's not, you don't need a weapon to fight a war. It's all psychological now. It's psychological warfare.
That is true. That's for sure. Most of the cases that...
Very careful. And,
I'm sorry?
Go ahead.
Okay. Most of
go
ahead.
ahead.
Okay, thank you. We're getting a lapse for some reason from your phone. So most of the people that approach us with cases, they, child abuse, sexual molestation by the parent, they have met these people on dating sites. And consistently, one of the first questions I ask parents is, how did you meet? And typically, their response is, we met on Match.com, we met on eHarmony, we met on, Elite, whatever it is. They're meeting because it's the easiest way in this day and age where time is such a commodity, and you still don't want to be lonely. So now these dating sites are rampant with people, with information, with meetups, and, GPS-based dating apps. This is such a dangerous situation. They have these hookups now. People are following you. They're stalking you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And see, the thing, Tammy, is I'm glad that you mentioned the dating sites, because there is a high percentage of attacks that are linked to dating sites. And for some of the listeners here, we have to understand why that is.
Right.
When you go onto a dating site, pretty much most of the time what you do is you put in information about yourself to create a profile of yourself. And it's not just a profile of your likes and dislikes. It goes a lot deeper than that. They're developed by psychologists in order to pair people. But on the same token, people are getting a lot smarter on the internet, because as predators go on the internet, they can look at some of the techniques. And if they're going to go look for people who are going to be susceptible to certain attack vectors, and I say that truthfully,
right.
You're looking at somebody who's lonely. Well, what are you going to do if you're a predator? You're going to go look for somebody who's lonely, and that's just basically an attack vector.
And everybody's lonely these days. Nobody wants to be alone.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing. So you're providing the predators the tools by going onto these dating sites, and it's scary.
Yeah, it's scary. Have you ever seen that? Have you ever seen that show, CSI Cyber on CBS? CSI Cyber. What do you think about it? If you have seen it,
I've seen CSI, but I don't know that I could say that I've seen that specific show. I don't really watch much TV, but I've seen a few episodes of the standard CSI.
Well, no, this is a whole new CSI, and it's only based on cyber. So it's really based on your.
I think I live that in real life, Tammy, rather than having to watch it on TV. I think I live the real life.
You're living the real CSI.
Well, what goes on?
Right.
Yeah.
Tell us, can you tell the audience about
I'm one of the good guys, though.
Of course. Well, I know you are. Tell us about, if you can, recall a scenario where your mind was just blown, if your mind can be blown, Shadow, at what you were seeing. You were the fly in the wall, and what you were seeing behind the scenes as somebody was, you catch a perpetrator, so to speak, or you're watching him. Anything that you can share with us?
Well, I think some of the things are the manipulation tactics that I see online, because I'm one of those people who knows as much as the predator use, if not more, along with the concatenation of information security technology, computer programming, and the psychology of it. So I have a unique view with the ability to see what's going on in the background. Not only can I capture information between a predator trying to achieve his goal to prey on a victim, I can see that information in the background. And a lot of predators have the psychology, but they lack the technology portion of it. So I'm the one that can actually listen on communications back and forth and without anyone knowing that I'm there. So that's how I capture the bad guys. So,
right.
I can see and watch from the beginning to the end about the new tactics and the evolution of the tactics that the predator uses to try to capture, a victim, and they're ever evolving. So to say that there's one thing that has blown my mind, it's hard because I've seen a lot. I think one of the things is that it's not only just people who are not tech savvy, but people who are very intelligent can become susceptible. And I think sometimes, I see doctors and I see lawyers and I see, people of great stature, great intelligence become susceptible to some of these predators. I think that kind of blows my mind a little bit, because you're taught, as an intellectual, how to pick out these things, especially somebody within the law system or judges are susceptible to some of these tactics.
Right.
So I would have to say it's the increasing percentage of an intellectual population being captured by some of these predators who are ever evolving their techniques to lure these people into their web of deceit, so to speak.
Absolutely. Their web. That's a great way to put it. Lure these people. Who would be a typical target? Give us a psychological profile, a basic one, if you would. Who seems to be more susceptible?
Predators online specifically. Right. Let's speak just in terms of the online predator. Somebody who's going to go online and grab information about this. For the most part, there's a bunch of different facets that people can be more predators. And one of the first things that a predator looks for online is the lack of awareness and technological awareness of somebody. They don't really know very much how computers work or that. That's one of the facets that always is common with a lot of higher intellectual people, is that they don't really have time to learn the computer aspect of something. You have a degree in law or whatnot, so you're really focused on practicing law and doing the stuff, and you frankly just don't have time to learn really what goes on behind the scenes with computers and the internet and social networks.
Right.
So that's the first facet. A second facet is the information they put online. They analyze. The predators will analyze this to find, like I said, an attack vector of a way to pretty much hack that person's mind. What their vulnerabilities are. So, like I said, it's an ever-evolving thing. So when you put the information online, that gives the attacker the ability to analyze you. And these predators are smart these days because they have access to the information that everyone else does, including the good guys.
That's right.
That's basically, they're going to exploit your weakness. And everybody has a weakness, okay?
Okay.
But the awareness that we're trying to create now allows us to make people aware not to put certain things online because it can be used as a way to attack you. That's bad way of looking at the reality. There's the truth.
That's right. You know, I have somebody who's asking if you are familiar with Crisp Thinking and other companies who offer online grooming predator detection type of system. Crisp Thinking. I personally have never heard of it.
I'm not familiar with that, and I've never heard that. But the information is pretty much stagnant at this point. I don't want to say stagnant, but the information that we use and the techniques that we use in order to identify predators is going, far beyond. The techniques that I and some of my colleagues use are really interesting because we've developed as a programmer myself, and some of my team have developed is ways to detect through computer algorithms the way people speak online. And that's a really great thing that there was a study done that's not too long ago. Dr. Mitch Teller and myself were reading up on is the inherent abilities, or not abilities, but the inherent way people speak and type down text can be determined to, across a spectrum to define the same person who uses that same typing technique subconsciously, because you can't change that. So the way people write and talk, inherently there are some consistabilities, or it's consistent of how people talk and write down. So we can identify those people over a wide spectrum of data in order to pick out the same person, no matter if they're using a different profile or whatnot. And that's one of the advanced scientific things that we use.
That's right.
to try to match people. So, and we're not simply just talking about just going on and looking now. We're putting the science into it.
You're profiling.
Try to help people and get. We're profiling to an advanced step where we're using multiple, a conglomerate of not only just psychological techniques, but the technology too. We're trying to incorporate those things in, and that's why we put a team of psychologists like Dr. Mitch Teller and his predator, and the technology portion, which is my side, and the algorithms and the computer program, trying to put all this together in order to create a new hybrid science in order to profile these people and help some, most of the part help children to try to
Absolutely. That's where I come in. I'm, me, I'm adamant about keeping these kids safe and, keeping the parents safe that have the children, because, we know that a lot of single parents that are looking to date again and don't have the time will go online and look, and the perpetrators are targeting these single parents, not for them, for the children.
Right. And that happens so very frequently. And I don't want to be the kind of person who preaches, a scare speech or anything like that. But it is a dangerous way to go online. And I don't want to tell people don't go online and try to date, but at least read up on some of the flags and stuff that we're talking about when we're talking about profiling. We're talking about Dr. Nucitelli's thing. Go read up some of that stuff that we're talking about.
Right.
So you can kind of pick out some of these things, because you're always going to find the people who are going to charm you. You can sit down with somebody who's a complete psychopath, and they can charm you to the point where you think that this person is great. And it can happen to anyone. It can happen to lawyers, doctors, down to, a home mom. It can happen to anybody. And the scary part is because they're so apt at their trades and their practice that,
what can people
have the ability instantly, and this is what Dr. Nucitelli and I talk about, is the ability to read somebody right off the bat and calculate
right.
level. It's dangerous.
It's scary. I'm telling you, I have a different outlook since I started working with you gentlemen as to what I put on the internet. That's what the CSI cyber is about. It really is also about educating, because, you can only educate so many people, but on the other side of the world, how are they going to get educated? Because it's a worldwide web. It's not limited. It's not just certain communities. And that's where it really comes into play. I've spoken with people where they meet somebody on the other side of the world, and then these people are literally flying in to meet these people. And I say, gosh, aren't you a little bit afraid?
Right.
They're not afraid. And then you have some people that have met some great...
It comes down to that decision process, Danny. Yeah, absolutely. It comes down to that decision process of, am I so lonely that I'm going to have to wait here, and I'm going to have to, well, maybe this could be the one. It's that process that comes that so yearning to meet somebody and not be alone, and there's some other factors that goes. I'm not just being alone, but And that's what these people prey on, and these people can notice and pick that out by what they do online.
But there are some good people, too, obviously, that are going online, and they really don't have the time. But how do you decipher the good from the bad?
See, that's the point that we're trying to make, and there is no definitive answer. However, we're providing the tools in order to pick out the flags to do that, to pick out some of the flags. Okay, if you're going to go online, the awareness of some of the flags that predators will use, or predators online will use, in order to bring you into this. There are some flags. There's certain sample questions that we want to get out that people can answer. It's all a matter of response of to how you're doing this, and that's a shame that you have to do this nowadays. But you can't really go online, and the ideological way is to trust no one when you go online, and that's a horrible thing to say, but it's the truth. You can't ever fully know who's on the other end of that computer. And I hate to have to say that, but that's the day and age that we live in.
Right. I want to take a moment we have a sponsor that I was supposed to say this a little bit earlier. So there is a book, folks. It's a powerful book. It's called Death of the Justice System. It's written by Linda Akers, and it is a necessary book for all of the folks that are in the court systems, fighting for justice, fighting for your children, fighting against your, once significant other. Now you're hopeful of being able to separate completely. Death of the Justice System teaches people the tricks in the courtroom and how to seek justice, very much in the same way, Shadow, that you are teaching about how to protect yourself on the internet, a device that each and every person is using these days, including young children. We are susceptible. We need people like you. Can you give the audience a tip? Thank you, John. What can the audience do as far as some tips, precautions that they can take? How can they make themselves a little safer other than just being aware and hypervigilant? Is there anything that they can do online? Is there one site? Is Google better than Yahoo? Some tips that would help them, at least some directives.
Unfortunately, to say that one site is better than the other would be negligible for me to say, because you have to go online with the assumption, and would be the tip, is to go online under the assumption that whatever that you put online, somebody is going to be watching. It's a shame to have to say that, but that's tip number one, is when you go online, don't ever assume that the information that you put online, or if you're in a private conversation, or if you're sending an email and you're saying some personal things, that isn't going to be read by somebody else. Okay. Now, a precaution on the way to do that is, we live in a technological age, so learn the techniques in order to secure that information. Learn how to use encryption. Learn how to, more strengthen the privacy of your information online by using encryption. Using the security tools that are out there.
Right.
To try to maintain the security of your information, and that's the highest thing that I can say.
Right.
Because I know it might be a little bit daunting at first to learn how to use some of these techniques, especially email encryption.
Right. It's like Chinese.
Encrypting your financial data.
For those who are not savvy, it's like reading Chinese. And I often hear people say, listen, I'm not doing anything. They're not interested in me. I'm too bland of a life for anybody to be interested. They're not following me. They're going to follow the bad guys. They're going to follow the rich people. I just live a simple life. What would you say to them?
Mistake number one. Mistake number one.
Yes.
Is to assume that I'm not doing anything wrong online, so therefore I can put out information and I can do this, and they're not looking at me, that is completely the opposite of what predators look for. They look for the people who are going to say that, well, I'm not doing anything wrong, so I'm going to put my information online. You are target number one.
Very good.
Okay, because it's the path of least resistance.
Right.
Why would I go after, as a predator, somebody who encrypts all their information and do all this, spend more time when I can find somebody who doesn't?
Right. So they don't ever really put...
One thing I want to let listeners
Go
know
ahead.
is that your privacy is your right. Your privacy is your right online. Don't think that just because you're not doing anything wrong, you don't have a right to have your own privacy. That's the kind of change of what we want to look at or try to get people to understand. That your privacy is important. Not only even if you're doing anything wrong, but because it's yours.
Right.
Very little freedoms these days, at least.
Absolutely.
Take care of your own privacy.
Right.
You don't become a statistic.
I was told in the state of California, Facebook has different rules, evidently, in the state of California as to what rights people have and don't have versus Facebook if the person is located in another state. Do you know what I'm speaking about?
I'm familiar that sometimes different states have different rules at the local or federal level, but they change so rapidly these days. As a computer and a security expert and a programmer and stuff like this, my views on these, they change so much. So for me to say, to know that it could change tomorrow. So I don't want to be quoted on saying this could be true or this could not be true because it could be changed the next day. All I can say is make sure that you read the fine print when you sign up for a site that you're going to be putting your information on.
But even when we read the fine print really isn't completely transparent. I mean, I've read a lot of fine print that says your name won't be shared, you can sign up, this is secure. Sometimes it has that little V, I think, for verified. But you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're never 100% secure no matter how many V's are all over that screen. Is that correct?
That's right. That's correct. As a computer guy, like I do penetration testing too. That means companies pretty much pay me to try to find the security holes in their network, and there's always a security hole.
Right.
So to say that I'm going to go put all my information online and I'm going to trust this company to keep my information secure is just, you can't believe that.
No.
Because it's not the truth. Because we've seen with the local attempts on Sony, this is a big corporation. They have millions and millions of dollars to spend on security, but yet what do you see? Sony has just got hacked and all this information from the government's now being released from the Pentagon and all this stuff. So, we're talking about, we're at mercy of the technology.
Right.
And the technology is that nothing is ever 100% secure. So you have to understand that.
Okay.
And you have to be aware of that. No matter how good the security is, it's still designed by developers who make mistakes.
Or developers who design it, and there may be somebody within that development team that then sells or disseminates that information as to how to break it. For the right price, it seems
Absolutely.
to be
And that's what we call the inside, right?
Right.
We call that the inside man, as
right.
Computer security. I mean, there's a high percentage of internal security breaches. So.
They have that group.
You can't.
Right.
Like I said.
Right. Well, it's become very, very scary encrypting information. Wait a minute, I'm just trying to... Encrypting information. What is the easiest way for the layperson? Is there a site? Give us some instruction if they say, gee, I don't know where to begin, but I do want to feel a little safer. iPredator.
Right.
Talk about it.
You want to be a little bit safer, so you want to encrypt. So where do you start? Well, first of all, let's define what really encryption is. And, we've kind of, explained what it was for somebody who's not very computer savvy, but I'll explain very simply what encryption is. A very simple answer is to rearrange data to the point where nobody can read it, and you're the only one that can access it, either via a password or a key. So we basically just scramble up the data to the point where no one can read it.
Okay.
And that's a very simple idea or answer to what encryption is. And there's been some encryption that's been around for a very long time that's pretty secure, I don't ever want to say anything's not broken, but let me just put it to you this way. By using the encryption that I'm going to give you, the way to do this now is that it would take, if you use the proper steps, it would take probably, a couple 100,000 years with all the computers on the entire planet to break the encryption that we're using, or that I'm going to tell you how to use it. And that is what's GNUPG. GNUPG is an encryption method. So you can go to gnupg.org, and there are some documents there and some ways to show you how to use that. And that can be installed with Windows, it can be installed with Linux, and it can be installed with Mac. So you have to take the time to read the documentation of how to use it.
There you go.
It's not that hard. It's just a matter of sitting down and taking the time to learn how to use it.
Okay. All right. So if people are willing to put the time in, it's not going to cost them $1,000, and they might save themselves.
No, it's free.
It's free. Well, there you go. You don't get better than that. I mean, if it's free, everybody should be doing it and putting in a little time. It could save you all of your money in your bank account potentially. Somebody is asking, what if I pay bills online through these very safe bill paying sites? Is it safe?
Well, for the most part, you're really, like I said, at the mercy of the encryption that the websites use, or your banking institution. So, for the most part, I can say, yeah, you're pretty much safe. But use a company that's is known. If you're going to use a bank that's known. Study the history of the bank. Has there ever been any penetrations? Have there ever been any customers' information stolen from that bank? Don't use a no-name bank. Use a bank that's has a history of protecting customer information. So, that's a good step to use.
Well, remember Visa, the Visa card, Visa company. I don't know, a year, 2 years ago. They were penetrated. I don't know how many times with the bank that I use. I'm not going to say, but that I get these notices and they cancel our cards and they say, well, we had a breach of some sort. They never tell you too much, but obviously if they're spending the money to send out new cards to God only knows how many people, there was a major breach and they're trying to just cover it up. Isn't that right?
Well, yeah. That's absolutely right, Tammy. You're going to get online and you're going to roll the dice, because it's not a matter of if a company gets hacked or penetrated. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Right.
Okay? So you have to go online, and if you're going to do stuff online, and we live in that computer age, you're going to have to take the time to understand that it's a possibility. It's always a possibility. So, what do? You live in this age, you live in the computer age, you want ease, you're never ever going to get all your information offline, because everything's already online anyway.
Right.
So you really can't go back to a paper environment, so you're pretty much at the mercy of the computers these days.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, we're at the mercy of so many things these days. People have lost so many freedoms, and unfortunately with the internet, we can voluntarily be giving up our freedoms, and we don't even know it.
Mm-hmm. So I'm not by any means telling people not to use computers, because I love computers. I love the technology.
Of course.
I love having my tablet, my phone. I love being able to communicate, but I'm by no means against computers. I'm simply saying that steps can be taken in order to protect your information to the best of your ability. To protect things, take those steps to protect them.
Shadow.
That's the best that you can do.
We call you Shadow because you remain the shadow, the person behind the scenes, the one who is watching those who are watching. Where can people look at more information about you?
Well, you can check out the shadowsgovernment.com, www.shadowsgovernment.com, and we have an information security on Google+, and shadowsgovernment.com is just a place, very simple site. I don't have all the bells and whistles on the site, but it's just very straightforward information. Where you can chat, where you can find our community, and we have, almost 10,000 members online, and there's a lot of us out there.
Right.
So you can check that out and go to our Google Plus community, go to our IRC channel and talk, and just ask those questions, and you'll see the logo. It's a shadow logo. You see that, it's us. So.
I love your logo. I love it. It's a tough guy. It's a no joke guy. We're coming for you. If you're doing something wrong, you're going to get caught. Not by this government, but by Shadow's government. I love it.
It's very nice of you to say.
Yeah, that's right. So,
yeah.
We
try to do as much as we can to help those people.
You are, yourself, myself, Dr. Nutritelli, we're making a system to help parents to navigate through a very, very difficult situation, especially parents who are being targeted. Parents who have been trolled online, and there has been a defaming type of campaign, so that when they go into court, the opposing side is waving this, almost a book of printouts that they have probably done to defame this person, and it looks as though, and the other person just becomes completely distraught, and there's so many lies out there. Tell us a little bit about what can be done in that case. Somebody puts these lies out on the internet about you, blogs and this and that. I've certainly been a victim. Many of the people that we've spoken with have been victims. Let's chat about that for a moment. We have about 8 minutes left.
Well, we're the people that kind of go after those people. Okay, we're the people that go after those people who put these defaming information online, and we're the people that go after those people. We're the people that take the time to go in when there's really no help. And people really don't have, sometimes a lot of money to go and hire an attorney for putting all this fake information online, and it's a war. But we're the ones who know the techniques and stuff to go after these people and take the time to, say, hey, look, we're here to stand up for that person who has nowhere else to go.
That's right.
That's the best that I can say.
That's right. It's rebuilding somebody's life, so to speak. That somebody through this electronic device has been able to destroy something that somebody took years to build, and all of a sudden you're watching your life and your credibility crumble, and you don't even know who the hell is doing it. Right.
Yeah, the anonymity of the internet, when people know how to use the internet. And I like to tell those people who do use those techniques, the internet isn't as anonymous as you think, because people like me are always watchful.
Right.
It's not a threat, that's a fact. You're going to go online and you're going to try to hurt somebody. Believe me, there's somebody who knows where you are, and eventually it's going to come back for you.
Right. So
we do the best that we can.
That's right. We're almost done with getting together a written type of directive, some written information. Folks, I'm encouraging you to contact me. Certainly if you have a case, your children are in danger, you're being stalked, you need some help, between Dr. Nutritelli and Shadow and myself, we are covering all three areas. You can rest your head comfortably on your pillow at night, because this program it's not going to allow these people to continue to do the bad things that they're doing to you. They are going to get caught, and the time has come where
absolutely right.
Yeah, this nonsense has to end. Children are in danger every day, and people don't know where to turn. I'm going to encourage you to email me if you'd like more information. Shadow, I know that you're almost done writing up a wonderful paper for us to start getting out regarding what we do cover, what parents or victims can look forward to and expect. And there's going to be some training, folks, for people that don't know about the internet, don't know about encryptions. I'm certainly not going to be teaching that. Shadow will be. But he's going to help to create more of a safety net. And it's going to result in you feeling safer and feeling more confident and not feeling like you're being violated, not only through a court system perhaps or through a bad relationship, but then you get violated through the internet. So it's time to create a shield for yourself.
Absolutely.
And Shadow, you are going to help to mold that shield for the victims so that they can feel safer. When should we be done?
Well, we all are, the technological, the psychological, and the legal.
That's
Absolutely.
right.
We got those three,
That's right.
precepts that people always fall victim to.
That's right.
So
That's
we've got all
right.
the bases covered.
I'm really excited about it. It's almost done, folks. I'm really looking forward to it. If anybody would like to request some information, you can email me at the NSC Show, NSC, National Safe Child Show, at gmail.com. Not a very safe email. I will provide an encrypted email eventually, soon. But right now, just to request information about this program that's being created, please do email me. In the meantime, we have Dr. Nutritelli, who has, these constructs of just amazing information to protect your children, protect yourself, and understand about the dark world, dark psychology, perpetrators. You can look at this information that he has taken and Shadow has taken so long to create and really perfect. I mean, it is an unbelievable constructs that he's created. It is you can find this at www.ipredator.co. You may go on and see iPredator Inc. That is another company. Please don't become confused or discouraged and say, what is this? No, I did the same thing. It's ipredator.co. Check that out. Shadow, talk about some of the constructs quickly. We have about 3 more minutes. Please.
Excuse me. Some of the constructs just define the archetypes of the types of predatorial minds, I guess, is the best way to say it. Dr. Kelly is more well advanced in that and could explain it much better than I can. So I've read the constructs so many times over and over and over, but it just defines the constructs of what types of eye predators there are out there. Some of the masterminds, so to speak, and he has an archetype for that. The crier and things like that, or the provoker, the provocateur. Some of those things when you put together that 3-part eye predator construct, there's lots of them there. So I encourage you to read the information to determine.
Absolutely.
Because there's there's one of them, but you always have a group of them too. So it could be one, but most of the time there's a group. And when you bring the bad people together, they can do a lot more than just the single person.
Right.
I docked this predator the high one. So.
He even has. He even has gone so far as to find out his little internet addiction test, to find out how addicted are you to the internet. I know that I have actually caught myself and said, wow, hours go by. I didn't realize it because you just become enthralled in this little device, and you don't know that all these hours.
As a programmer, Tammy, too. I have to say that as a programmer, though, and as somebody who does this for a living,
right?
It's difficult for me because sometimes I read and say, well, am I addicted to the internet? Well, see, I'm not because this is my job. I sit there, but I can go away. I don't need to get on the computer. It's my job. So when I'm doing programming, I can start a program and hours will go by it too. But, it's just a matter, I guess, of what you do on there and what kind of need you feel. So I don't want to get into too much of the psychology. That's Dr. Nuch's way.
Okay. Shadow, we're going to be shadowing these perps. Dr. Nuch is going to be giving the psychological profiles. Tammy is going to do the cheerleading. Dun, dun, dun. No. I am going to help the parents to navigate through the very convoluted and often no holds barred child protective services system, family court system. And as you folks know, there are some fabulous attorneys out there to assist us as well. So I think that we are covering every angle. Shadow, I adore you. I'm so grateful to have you on our side, because I'd hate for you to be watching instead of helping. I know that you could definitely penetrate through my system. One last question. Macs, Windows, is there one that's safer than the others if somebody is getting ready to go buy a system?
Look, I'm going to tell people the flat out truth about this, okay?
Okay.
And there are people who argue with me, but I see what goes behind the scenes and I write the code. So I'm the person that designs the locks that people can get into. So I'm going to tell you the flat out truth without having to sell you anything. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Mac and Windows, there are backdoors. Okay, there are ways that the corporations, that the people who design these systems can get into. That is 100% truth. Okay, regardless of what you put on your computers, your Mac or your Windows systems. People can get in. The developers can get in. The people who wrote the software can get in. It's 100% fact. Okay?
Wow.
I don't want to sit here and sugarcoat it. It's just how it is. Okay?
Okay,
I
so...
use a Linux operating system. I'm not to say that there's no backdoors in Linux either.
Right.
But I prefer that you use Linux more secure than Windows and Mac. So that's just how it is.
How about the apps that people download?
I have no ulterior motive.
Right. No, obviously. How about the apps that people download on their phones? You know, everybody's downloading a million apps.
Are basically, your phones are basically just snooping devices anyway. Let me tell you about your smartphone. This goes for Android and this goes for iPhones. You understand that your phone has a camera on it. You understand that your phone has a microphone on it.
Okay.
The operating systems on these phones, at any given point in time, your microphone can be activated and your video camera or camera can be activated at any time.
Okay.
By somebody who knows how to do that. Okay? So when you're having your private conversations with your loved ones or whatever, and your phone's sitting next to you, understand that that can be listened to by some government agencies or somebody who knows how to exploit those phones.
Gotcha.
Okay? That's not tinfoil hat stuff. That's just the fact of how they're designed.
So to be safe, would it be safe to say no internet on your phone if you don't want to be watched? No? Well, there's really no safe way. You're on a device that is...
If you're going to have a smartphone, if you're going to have any phone, assume that whatever you talk about, whatever you text, and whatever you download can be watched at any given time. I'm sorry to say that, but that is the truth.
Don't be sorry.
Take precautions by encrypting your information.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Shadow.
Well, people always say, well, you know, you're too paranoid or you're so that, but that's not true.
I'd rather, better safe than sorry is what I say. Better safe than sorry. If that little girl that's not here anymore would have had some education on, and it's not anybody's fault, there's not enough of a fear yet, and there's not enough information out there, and that's why we have people like you.
I would say awareness rather than fear. I don't want people to fear.
Right.
I would say just be aware.
Right, be aware. Ultra sensitively aware, folks. Shadow, it's been wonderful having you on the show. I'm going to have you back with Dr. Nooch, and then we're going to speak about what we're doing and what we can offer as soon as everything's done. Thank you, my dear. And thank you for educating us and bringing
an awareness. You're great. I love to be on your show. You know.
I know, and I just adore you. So, Shadow, I'll talk to you in a bit. Thank you, folks, for listening.
All right, Tammy. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for having Simple Old Me on the show. I appreciate it.
No. How humble of you. Thank you, Shadow. Folks, we're leaving. I want to leave with a word of of awareness. As Shadow has said, be aware of what you're doing on the internet. Go and check out iPredator.co. National has joined forces with this fabulous doctor and with Shadow, and there are some amazing things that are in the works that are soon to come out, like within the week. It's almost done, so please thank you. And Lisa is just so lovely. Folks, I want to end this show reminding you, Death of the Justice System book. It has taken quite a long time with much resistance. This book will teach you and show you with actual transcripts leading all the way up to the Supreme Court on your entitlement to get your audio from your courthouse, your court hearing. You don't have to pay thousands of dollars for transcripts, folks. Get the audio. Each and every courtroom has them. There is an affidavit. You can request it. nscshow@gmail.com. We'd be happy to send it. Death of the Justice System. Shadow is fabulous. He is a shadow. Be careful. John, I love you. UBN Radio, we love you. And folks, stay safe, keep your kids safe, and we will see you again next week at 7 p.m. with a fabulous guest, and I will post it on Facebook. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the National Safe Child Show on UBN Radio. For past episodes, visit the archives on ubnradio.com, and for more information, go to nationalsafechildcoalition.com. The views and opinions expressed in these radio programs are those of the individual hosts and do not reflect the official policy or position of Universal Broadcasting Network.